Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's EBC video. I've snuck outside into the middle of a snowstorm to a park to be thinking about John 1 verses 43 through 51. All right, we've come to a park because this week's message is about the calling of Philip and Nathaniel. And Jesus calls Philip with a simple two-word phrase, follow me. And so I was thinking about that old children's game, Follow the Leader, that kids might play at a park like this, where one kid is walking around and they start to do something silly, and then the other kids have to do something silly, then they trade places and someone else is the leader, right? It's following the leader. Jesus says to Philip, follow me. So, what do you think Philip did when Jesus said, follow me? Do you think he dropped everything and he started going right with Jesus? Well, the answer is no. Actually, he went back for a friend of his named Nathaniel. And he went to Nathaniel and he said, we have found Jesus the Messiah. It's Jesus of Nazareth. Now Nathaniel actually doesn't immediately jump up either. He actually says to Philip, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Well, it's sort of an odd reaction, right? And it's right there in the Bible. It's sort of, we've got this skepticism and maybe even this sort of looking down at things that have happened in Nazareth. But Philip is undeterred and he says, come and see. And he's excited. And he brings Nathaniel and they're both going toward Jesus. Jesus sees them off in a distance and he sees Nathaniel and he says, there is an Israelite indeed who has no deceit. Now Nathaniel is confused. I mean, those are nice words to say to Nathaniel, but he's confused. He's like, when have you met me before? And Jesus says to him, actually, I saw you sitting under a fig tree before Philip came and got you. And for whatever reason, the switch goes off. And Nathaniel believes in Jesus in that moment and says, truly you are the Messiah. Jesus, of course, asks him then, he says, do you believe in me simply because I knew that about you? He says, you're going to see a lot greater things than these. Now, we have experiences like that in our everyday lives as well, right? We see God, and rightly so, in a lot of little miracles, right? We might get up on a summer morning, a warm, beautiful day that's not like this one at all, in which we hear a bird singing, for instance. And as we hear that bird singing, we hear God in that bird's song, right? We see those little gifts around us. Sometimes, for whatever reason, those things are easier for us to see than when we're just thinking about something broader and bigger, like Jesus coming to save us, like God's glory in all of creation. We see those little things. But Jesus is there to tell us that not only are you going to see those little things, but we're also going to see these great big things as well. And that's what he says to Nathaniel. Now, Philip and Nathaniel do follow Jesus. And if you haven't heard of Nathaniel a lot, there's kind of a reason for that, actually. In John, this apostle is named Nathaniel. There's a whole lot of scholarly debate about who Nathaniel was and whether or not another apostle named Bartholomew is actually the same as Nathaniel, because Bartholomew is used in the other Gospels. Now, there's not a lot of agreement there, and sometimes they think that he's the same person, sometimes they think that he's not. But that's not going to be resolved in today's video. What we are going to talk about for a moment is that Nathaniel is identified here at the beginning of Jesus' ministry. And then actually in John 21, Nathaniel is identified at the end of Jesus' ministry as one of the disciples who are there one of the times that Jesus appears to them. And we know that Nathaniel is somebody who then goes out to do things as an apostle, not just a disciple, but an apostle in actually teaching about Jesus. And here's maybe the most important part of all of this. It is that when Jesus says, follow me, he's not asking specifically for people who are just going to do that kids game and make sure that they're doing what Jesus does. That's good, and that's part of it, but that's not all of it. Because Jesus is asking not just for followers, but for leaders in teaching about Jesus. Leaders in showing others about Jesus. Leaders in, when Philip said, come and see, demonstrating Jesus' love in all of the world. All right, so as you're thinking about being a follower of Jesus, think about also being a leader for Jesus. Everyone, have a great week. I'm going to see if I can get out of the snow. Thanks.